I thought I could hide, thought I could survive alone. But the heavens are hunting me. The Emperor wants my core, and no one can be trusted. Every shadow whispers danger, every step could be my last. And yet, even in the storm, a black dragon watches over me. I don't know why he protects me, but for the first time in 10,000 years, I feel hope. For 10,000 years, I knew only silence. The forest had been my entire world. I slept beneath the same ancient spirit tree, listened to the same river murmuring through the rocks, watched the same stars circle the sky again and again. Time did not matter to a fox demon cultivating alone. Spring blossoms fell. Autumn leaves returned to the soil. Snow buried the mountains, then melted again. And through it all, I remained there. 9 white tails curled around my body as I absorbed spiritual energy from the earth and sky. The power grew slowly, steadily, year after year. 10,000 years. When the moment finally came, I knew immediately. The air changed. Spiritual energy rushed toward me like a tidal wave. The old spirit tree trembled as golden light burst from my body. Pain struck suddenly, sharp and overwhelming. My bones stretched, reshaping themselves. My body twisted as the fox form I had known for 10,000 years began changing into something new. I tried to cry out, but the light swallowed my voice. Then everything went quiet. When the glow faded, I lay on the forest floor breathing heavily. Something felt different. I lifted my hand. My hand. 5 slender fingers spread slowly in front of my face. I blinked. Strange. My voice startled me. It sounded soft. Almost fragile. I sat up quickly, staring down at myself in confusion. My body had changed completely. My fur was gone, replaced with pale skin. Long silver hair spilled over my shoulders and down my back. Behind me, my 9 tails still swayed gently. I stood up carefully. The world suddenly felt taller. Wider. Ah! My first step nearly sent me falling into the bushes. I grabbed a nearby tree trunk and burst into laughter. So this is walking? Humans made it look easy. It took several tries before I could move properly. Even then, I stumbled more than once, laughing at my own clumsiness. But it was exciting. Everything felt new. The wind brushed against my skin. The scent of flowers seemed stronger. Even the sound of birds fluttering through the branches felt different. After 10,000 years of stillness, the world felt alive. I wandered through the forest curiously, touching leaves, kneeling to watch ants crawl along the dirt, chasing a butterfly that fluttered just out of reach. Eventually I reached the edge of the mountain cliff. Below me stretched the mortal realm. Villages dotted the valleys. Smoke rose lazily from rooftops. Humans moved along narrow roads like tiny specks. I had watched them before from afar. But now I could join them. A smile spread across my face. Maybe I should visit. Just as I said that, the sky suddenly trembled. I frowned. The clouds above the mountains twisted unnaturally. Golden light spilled through the sky like water. Then a voice echoed across the heavens. Fox Demon Bai Lian. I jumped. My tails fluffed instinctively behind me. The voice sounded powerful enough to shake the entire mountain. Slowly, the clouds parted. A staircase made of light descended from the sky. Golden-armored soldiers walked down the glowing steps, their spears gleaming. They stopped in front of me and knelt. The Heavenly Emperor summons you. I blinked. The Emperor? Yes. Their voices were respectful, almost reverent. The ruler of heaven wishes to meet the fox who cultivated for 10,000 years. I tilted my head thoughtfully. The ruler of heaven wanted to meet me? That sounded important. And interesting. Curiosity bubbled up immediately. All right, I said with a smile. I stepped onto the staircase. The moment my foot touched the glowing steps, the mortal world disappeared beneath me. Clouds surrounded us on every side as we rose higher and higher. Soon enormous golden gates appeared ahead. They opened slowly with a deep rumbling sound. My eyes widened. The heavenly palace was more beautiful than anything I had imagined. White jade floors reflected the sky like mirrors. Bridges made of crystal stretched between floating palaces. Celestial trees glowed softly beneath drifting clouds. Servants bowed as I passed. Celestial maidens whispered behind their sleeves. I didn't understand why they were staring. I was too busy staring myself. Everything was incredible. Eventually the soldiers led me into a massive throne hall. At the far end sat a man dressed in flowing golden robes. Even from across the room, I could feel his presence pressing against the air. The Heavenly Emperor. His eyes studied me quietly. Then he smiled. Welcome, Bai Lian. His voice sounded warm and calm. You cultivated for 10,000 years. That is an impressive achievement. I felt shy under his gaze. Thank you. He descended from the throne and approached slowly. Up close, his presence felt overwhelming, like standing beneath the sun. How rare, he murmured. I blinked. What is? A fox demon whose heart remains pure after 10,000 years. I tilted my head. Is that unusual? He chuckled softly. Very. He gestured toward a nearby table. Come. Sit with me. Delicate cups appeared filled with fragrant wine. I sat carefully across from him, curious about everything. The wine smelled sweet. It smells nice. It is celestial wine, he said. I took a sip. My eyes lit up instantly. Oh, I like this. The emperor laughed gently. After that day, he invited me often. We walked through the celestial gardens together, drank wine beneath the moon, spoke about the mortal world. No one had ever spoken to me so kindly before. Whenever he smiled at me, something warm fluttered inside my chest. I began looking forward to seeing him. One night, I decided to surprise him. The moon hung bright above the palace as I walked quietly through the golden corridors toward his chambers. Just before reaching the door, I heard voices inside. The emperor was speaking. His inner core will appear once he becomes intimate. I froze. The empress's voice answered calmly. You risk much for a fox demon. The emperor laughed. The sound felt different this time. Cold. Love a fox demon? He said mockingly. I only need his inner core. My breath stopped. He cultivated 10,000 years. That core will double my strength. The world tilted around me. My chest hurt. So you never loved him? The empress asked. The emperor laughed again. Of course not. Once I take the core, the fox will be useless. Something inside me shattered. I stepped back slowly, trying to leave. But hands suddenly grabbed my arms. Heavenly guards appeared from the shadows. Wait! The chamber doors opened. The emperor stepped out calmly. His warm smile was gone. Only cold indifference remained. I wondered how long you would listen. My voice trembled. You lied to me. Yes. The answer came without hesitation. I struggled against the guards. Let me go. Chains snapped around my wrists. The emperor approached slowly. Your inner core will serve heaven well. His hand pressed against my chest. Then, agony exploded through my body. I screamed as his fingers pierced into my flesh. Blood spilled onto the white jade floor. Moments later, he pulled his hand back. A glowing fox core pulsed in his palm. My body collapsed. But through the pain, one instinct remained. Run. I forced myself to move. To escape. Blood trailed behind me as I fled the heavenly palace and fell from the sky. Far below, the mortal mountains rushed closer. And somewhere in those mountains, a black dragon suddenly opened his eyes. Cold. That was the first thing I felt when I woke up. Not pain. Not fear. Just cold. It seeped into my bones like ice water, numbing everything else. Snowflakes drifted slowly through the gray sky above me, landing on my face and melting against my skin. For a long moment, I couldn't remember where I was. Then the pain returned. It slammed into my chest so violently that a broken sound escaped my throat. I curled instinctively, clutching the empty place beneath my ribs. My core was gone. The heavenly emperor's hand ripping into my chest flashed through my mind again, sharp and cruel. My breathing turned ragged. I need to run. The word formed in my mind, but my body refused to move. I forced myself to sit up. The world tilted violently. My hands trembled. Something felt wrong with my body, more wrong than just the missing core. The spiritual energy that had filled me for 10,000 years was gone, leaving a hollow emptiness behind. My vision blurred. Suddenly my body twisted. A strange pull ran through my limbs, dragging them inward. Bones shifted painfully, shrinking, reforming. The world spun. And then, I was small again. White fur covered my body. My 9 tails wrapped around me instinctively as I collapsed into the snow. I stared at my paws in confusion. Fox form. I tried to shift back. Nothing happened. Fear crept slowly into my chest. The emperor hadn't just taken my core. He had shattered my cultivation. I stayed there for a long time, trembling in the snow. Eventually the pain faded enough for me to move. I staggered through the forest on unsteady legs, my paws leaving faint red marks behind me. Every breath hurt. Every step felt like walking through water. But I kept moving. I didn't know where I was going. I only knew I couldn't stay still. If heaven's soldiers found me, the thought made my ears flatten. The sky above suddenly darkened. Thunder rolled faintly across the clouds. My body froze. A powerful presence descended from the heavens. I recognized the energy immediately. A celestial being. Strong. Dangerous. My heart pounded as I tried to run faster, but my injured body refused to cooperate. My legs collapsed beneath me after only a few steps. I fell face first into the snow. The presence landed behind me. Boots crunched softly against the frozen ground. I squeezed my eyes shut. So this was how it ended. Footsteps stopped beside me. Silence stretched between us. Then a voice spoke. Lo. Come. A fox. I forced my eyes open. Standing before me was a tall man dressed in dark robes that moved like storm clouds. His long black hair flowed behind him in the wind. But it was his eyes that caught my attention. Golden. Bright like lightning in the night sky. He stared down at me with quiet intensity. A dragon. Even in my weakened state, I could feel the immense power radiating from him. Fear sparked through me. My ears flattened and a weak growl escaped my throat. The dragon didn't move. He simply continued watching me. You are Bai Lian, he said after a moment. My heart skipped. He knew my name. That meant he came from heaven. Panic surged through me. I tried to scramble backward, but my body refused to cooperate. My paws slipped uselessly against the icy ground. The dragon stepped closer. I snapped at his sleeve instinctively, baring my small teeth. It was the weakest threat I had ever made. His gaze softened slightly. You remember me? I blinked at him. Remember? Something about his voice tugged faintly at the edges of my memory. But my thoughts were too foggy to grasp it. The dragon crouched slowly in front of me. Up close, his presence felt even more overwhelming. Yet strangely, not threatening. His hand reached toward me carefully. I flinched. But instead of grabbing me, his fingers gently lifted my chin. He studied my face for a long moment. Then his gaze dropped to the wound on my chest. The torn fur. The dried blood. A flicker of something dark passed through his golden eyes. Your core, he murmured quietly. I didn't answer. I couldn't. My strength was fading quickly now. The dragon stood and removed his cloak. The heavy black fabric wrapped around my small body, shielding me from the cold. The warmth surprised me. Bai Lian, he said softly. I forced myself to look up at him. The Heavenly Emperor has ordered your capture. My chest tightened. Of course he had. The dragon continued calmly. I was sent to bring you back. The words felt like a blade sliding into my heart. So that was it. Heaven hadn't even waited. I tried to stand again. My legs trembled violently before collapsing. The dragon sighed quietly. You cannot even maintain your human form. As if his words triggered something, the familiar pulling sensation returned. Pain shot through my limbs. My fox body stretched again, bones shifting painfully. When the transformation ended, I was lying in the snow as a human once more. My breathing came in shallow gasps. The dragon watched silently. Your body is unstable, he said. Without your core, you will shift between forms. My voice came out weak. Then kill me. The words surprised even me. But I meant them. I didn't want to go back to heaven. I didn't want to see that palace again. The dragon was quiet for a long time. Snow fell softly around us. Finally, he knelt beside me. His hand brushed gently against my hair. The touch was careful, almost hesitant. I will take you back to heaven, he said. My chest tightened, but his next words came softer. However, you will not die. I stared at him. Why? His golden eyes held mine. For a moment, something warm flickered inside them. Because, he said quietly, I do not believe you are a traitor. My vision blurred. Not from pain this time. From something else. Before I could say anything more, the dragon lifted me into his arms. His grip was strong yet careful, holding me as if I might break. As we rose into the sky, clouds swallowing the mountains below, a strange thought crossed my mind. For the first time since escaping heaven, I didn't feel completely alone. The first thing I noticed when we returned to heaven was the silence. Not the peaceful silence I once admired in the celestial gardens. This silence felt different. Heavy. Watchful. As if the entire heavenly realm was holding its breath. Mo Yuan carried me through the golden gates without speaking. I stayed in his arms, too weak to protest, though my eyes moved constantly. Every palace. Every bridge. Every white jade floor. I remembered them. And the memories made my chest ache. The last time I had walked here, I had been smiling. Now the place felt like a cage. Mo Yuan didn't take me toward the throne hall. Instead, he walked deeper into the palace grounds, past several quiet courtyards until we reached a secluded pavilion surrounded by tall silver trees. No guards, no servants, just drifting clouds and quiet wind. He stepped inside and gently placed me on a wide bed. The moment he released me, the strange pulling sensation returned. My body twisted again. Bones shrank painfully. When the dizziness passed, I was once again a fox curled helplessly in the blankets. I hated it. 10,000 years of cultivation had given me strength, power, control. Now I couldn't even stay in one form. Mo Yuan stood beside the bed, watching the transformation with narrowed eyes. Every 12 hours, he said quietly. I lifted my head weakly. What? You will change forms every 12 hours, he continued calmly, and remain that way for 3 hours. I blinked. How do you know? I have seen similar injuries before. His voice carried the quiet certainty of someone used to observing battle wounds. A dragon guardian. Of course he would know such things. I rested my head back down. The exhaustion pressing against my body was unbearable. Mo Yuan poured water into a small bowl and set it beside me. You should drink. I sniffed the water cautiously before lapping at it. He watched silently. The quiet between us stretched for a long time. Eventually I asked the question that had been haunting me since he found me. Why didn't you kill me? Mo Yuan leaned against the nearby table. The Emperor ordered me to bring you back alive. That isn't what I meant. My tail flicked weakly. You could have killed me before bringing me back. No one would have known. His golden eyes rested on me again. You wanted me to? I hesitated. I didn't want to go back to heaven. The words slipped out before I could stop them. A long silence followed. Finally Mo Yuan spoke. Do you remember me? I blinked. You asked me that before. And you never answered. I studied his face carefully. Tall, calm, strong. The kind of presence that made people instinctively step aside. But something about him still felt familiar. I searched my memories, digging through thousands of years of quiet cultivation. Snow-covered mountains. Fox kits playing in the forest. A flash of black scales beside a frozen lake. My ears perked. Wait. Mo Yuan didn't move. I slowly shifted back into human form as the 3-hour cycle ended. My limbs trembled from weakness, but I forced myself to sit up. The memory finally surfaced. A young black dragon coiled awkwardly beside a mountain stream. His wings were too large for his body, his scales still dull with youth. And beside him, a small white fox chasing falling leaves. You're that dragon, I blurted. Mo Yuan's expression didn't change, but I noticed the faintest shift in his eyes. You remember. You fell into the river trying to catch fish, I said, pointing at him weakly. You almost drowned. I did not drown. You were sputtering water for an entire hour. Mo Yuan's expression darkened slightly. I laughed weakly despite myself. The memory felt distant, like something from another lifetime. Back then we had only been animals. No titles. No cultivation. Just two curious creatures exploring the mountains. You left suddenly, I murmured. My clan summoned me to heaven. Ah! The word slipped out quietly. So that little dragon had become the strongest guardian of heaven. And the playful fox had become this. A hunted criminal. The silence returned again. Finally Mo Yuan straightened. I need to leave for a while. My ears twitched. Why? Because something about this situation is wrong. I stiffened. What do you mean? Mo Yuan's gaze sharpened. The Emperor claims you attempted to assassinate him. My stomach twisted. But when I found you, he continued, your core was already gone. The words hung heavily in the air. You believe me? I asked quietly. Mo Yuan didn't hesitate. Yes. My throat tightened. Why? His answer came calmly. Because the fox I knew 10,000 years ago would never harm anyone. I stared at him. No one had ever spoken about me with such certainty. Mo Yuan moved toward the door. Stay here. And if someone finds me, they won't. He paused briefly. This pavilion belongs to me. Then he stepped outside. The door closed softly behind him. I sat alone on the bed for a long time. Clouds drifted past the open window. The heavenly realm looked peaceful from here. Beautiful. Untouched. But I knew the truth now. Behind all that beauty was a ruler willing to tear open someone's chest for power. My fingers slowly touched the scar over my heart. It still hurt. Not just the wound. The betrayal. I thought he loved me. I whispered into the empty room. The words felt foolish now. Outside, distant thunder rolled faintly across the sky. Hours passed. Then more. I drifted in and out of sleep. At some point, the familiar transformation pulled me back into fox form again. I curled into the blankets, shivering slightly. Night had fallen when the door finally opened. Mo Yuan returned. His expression looked darker than before. Something had changed. I lifted my head weakly. Did you find something? He closed the door behind him slowly. Yes. My heart began to pound. Mo Yuan stepped closer. The emperor lied to the entire heavenly court. My breath caught. He looked directly at me. You never attacked him. I already knew that. But hearing someone else say it made my chest tighten painfully. Mo Yuan's next words came colder. He took your core himself. Silence swallowed the room. The truth had finally been spoken aloud. Mo Yuan's golden eyes burned with quiet fury. The emperor betrayed you. I lowered my head slowly. I know. I did not sleep that night. Even when exhaustion pulled at my body, my mind refused to rest. The truth had finally been spoken aloud. The heavenly emperor had betrayed me. The words still echoed in my head. Outside the pavilion, the heavenly realm looked peaceful as always. Pale clouds drifted through silver trees, and distant palaces shimmered under the moonlight. But the beauty felt fake now, like a painted mask hiding something rotten underneath. I curled deeper into the blankets, my fox body trembling slightly from the cold that always followed my transformation. Across the room, Mo Yuan stood near the open window. He had not spoken for a long time. His tall figure looked like a shadow against the pale sky. Mo Yuan, I whispered. He turned immediately. Yes. Why are you helping me? The question had been sitting in my chest since he brought me here. He had every reason to obey the emperor. Instead, he had hidden me, protected me, investigated the truth. Why? Mo Yuan walked slowly toward the bed. When he reached the edge, he knelt slightly so his eyes met mine. His golden gaze was calm, but something deeper flickered behind it. I told you before, he said. I do not believe you are capable of harming anyone. That isn't enough to betray heaven. The words slipped out before I could stop them. His expression did not change. You are not wrong. Silence settled between us again. I watched him carefully. Then why? Mo Yuan did not answer immediately. For a long moment, he simply looked at me. Then he spoke quietly. Because I already chose you long ago. My ears twitched. What? His gaze softened slightly. You probably do not remember much from those days in the mountains. I remember the dragon who couldn't catch fish. His mouth almost twitched. Fox. What? That dragon caught fish eventually. I huffed softly. He continued, voice calm but steady. When I left the mountains, I thought I would forget about the small white fox who followed me everywhere. I blinked. I did not follow you everywhere. You did. That was coincidence. You appeared beside me every day. That was still coincidence. Mo Yuan gave me a long look. I lowered my head slightly. Maybe a little. A quiet breath of amusement escaped him. But his expression soon turned serious again. After I came to heaven, I trained to become a guardian. I fought demons, protected celestial treasures, served the emperor. His golden eyes darkened faintly. But even after thousands of years, I still remembered that fox. My heart skipped once. You remembered me? Yes. The answer came without hesitation. You were the only creature who treated me like an equal. I stared at him. Even now, his voice remained calm. But something warm hid beneath the words. In heaven, he continued, everything revolves around power, rank, status. But that fox only cared about whether I could catch fish. A small laugh escaped me. You were really bad at it. I improved. I doubt it. Mo Yuan sighed quietly. Then he reached forward. His fingers gently brushed the fur between my ears. The sudden touch made me freeze. Warm, careful, almost affectionate. That fox trusted me completely, he said softly. And I never forgot that. My chest tightened. Before I could respond, a violent tremor shook the entire pavilion. The ground rumbled. Thunder exploded across the sky. Mo Yuan's expression instantly hardened. They found you. Fear rushed through me. How? The doors burst open. Golden-armored heavenly soldiers flooded the courtyard outside. At their center stood a familiar figure. The heavenly emperor. My breath stopped. His golden robes shimmered under the moonlight as he stepped slowly into the pavilion. His gaze landed on me immediately. Cold. Possessive. Bai Lian. My body instinctively shrank back. Mo Yuan stepped forward, placing himself between us. Your Majesty. The Emperor's eyes flicked toward him. Mo Yuan. His voice carried quiet authority. You have done well bringing the criminal fox back to heaven. Mo Yuan didn't move. He is not a criminal. The words fell heavily into the room. The Emperor's smile faded slightly. Oh! Mo Yuan's voice remained steady. You took his core yourself. Silence spread across the courtyard. The soldiers shifted uncomfortably. The Emperor's eyes narrowed. You speak boldly for someone who serves me. I serve heaven, Mo Yuan replied calmly. Not corruption. A dangerous stillness settled over everything. The Emperor laughed softly. So you discovered the truth. His gaze returned to me. Very well. If the fox heard too much, then he cannot remain alive. My heart pounded violently. Capture him. The soldiers moved instantly. Mo Yuan stepped forward. Thunder exploded across the sky. Dark clouds spiraled above the pavilion as immense dragon power erupted from his body. Lightning flashed through the courtyard. The soldiers stopped, startled by the sudden pressure. The Emperor's smile disappeared completely. You would fight me? Mo Yuan's voice turned cold. I will protect him. The Emperor's gaze sharpened. For a fox? Mo Yuan didn't hesitate. Yes. My chest tightened painfully. No one had ever stood in front of me like that before. No one had ever chosen me over heaven. The Emperor raised his hand slowly. Golden energy gathered around his fingers. Then you will die with him. Mo Yuan's power surged in response. Black dragon scales briefly flashed along his arms as lightning crackled through the air. The storm outside roared violently now. I tried to stand, but my legs trembled. Mo Yuan. He didn't look back, but his voice reached me. Stay behind me. The Emperor's attack came like falling sunlight. Mo Yuan met it head-on. The collision of divine power shattered the pavilion walls instantly. Wind and lightning tore through the courtyard as dragon and emperor clashed. The sky itself seemed to scream. Amid the chaos, one thought echoed loudly in my mind. Mo Yuan was fighting heaven. For me, the sky was breaking. That was the only way I could describe it. Thunder tore across the heavens like roaring beasts, and lightning ripped through the clouds in violent flashes of white and gold. The peaceful heavenly realm I had once admired was now a battlefield. Mo Yuan stood in front of me like an immovable mountain. Black lightning coiled around his body, crackling across the shattered courtyard. Every time he moved, the air trembled with the power of a celestial dragon. Across from him, the heavenly emperor hovered above the broken jade tiles. Golden energy burned around his body like sunlight made solid. Their powers clashed again. The explosion sent a shockwave tearing through the palace grounds. I stumbled backward, barely catching myself against a broken pillar. My human form was unstable again. I could feel the transformation creeping closer. My body couldn't endure this much spiritual pressure. But my eyes refused to leave Mo Yuan. He was fighting the ruler of heaven itself. For me, the emperor's voice cut through the storm. You would truly betray heaven for a fox demon? Mo Yuan didn't hesitate. Yes. The emperor's golden gaze darkened. You disappoint me. His hand lifted slowly. A brilliant sphere of celestial energy formed above his palm. Then he threw it. The attack tore through the sky like a falling star. Mo Yuan moved instantly. Black lightning exploded outward as he struck the energy head-on. The collision shook the entire palace. For a moment the sky disappeared behind blinding light. When my vision cleared, Mo Yuan had shifted partially into his dragon form. Black scales gleamed along his arms and neck, glowing faintly with lightning. His golden eyes burned brighter than before. Even injured and alone, he looked terrifying. The emperor studied him with cold amusement. You truly are the strongest guardian of heaven. But even dragons fall eventually. His gaze slowly shifted to me. A smile returned to his lips. Especially when their weakness is so obvious. My stomach twisted. The emperor suddenly changed direction. He rushed toward me. Before I could react, golden chains burst from the ground and wrapped around my body. I cried out as the energy tightened painfully. My weakened cultivation offered no resistance. Mo Yuan's voice thundered across the courtyard. Bai Lian. The emperor stopped beside me, gripping my hair and forcing my head upward. Pain shot through my scalp. You see, Mo Yuan, the emperor said calmly. This fox belongs to me. Rage flashed across Mo Yuan's face. Let him go. The emperor only smiled wider. His inner core already belongs to me. My heart clenched. In his other hand, the Emperor lifted something glowing faintly. A familiar warmth pulsed inside it. My breath stopped. My fox core. Even weakened, I could recognize its energy immediately. The Emperor watched my reaction with satisfaction. "This beautiful little treasure," he murmured. "I nearly died cultivating this." Mo Yuan's voice dropped into something dangerously quiet. "Return it." The Emperor laughed. "And give up power?" He shook his head slowly. "Dragons are powerful creatures, Mo Yuan. But even you cannot fight heaven forever." His grip on my hair tightened. "But perhaps you will surrender if I break your fox first." Cold fear crawled up my spine. The Emperor raised his hand. Golden energy gathered around his fingers again. I closed my eyes instinctively. But the expected pain never came. Instead, a deafening roar shattered the air. Wind exploded through the courtyard as something massive burst forward. I opened my eyes. Mo Yuan had fully transformed. A colossal black dragon now filled the sky above the palace. His scales shimmered like polished obsidian, reflecting flashes of lightning that danced across his body. His golden eyes burned like twin suns as he descended toward the Emperor. The power pouring from him was overwhelming. Even the heavenly soldiers had fallen back in fear. The Emperor's smile finally disappeared. Impressive, but his voice still carried arrogance. "I suppose I will kill the dragon first." He raised the fox core again, intending to absorb it. "No." The word left my mouth before I even realized it. My voice trembled, but I forced the words out again. "Stop." The Emperor paused. His gaze dropped to me. "You are in no position to command me. Then listen instead." My chest burned as I forced my body upright against the chains. For the first time since escaping heaven, I met his eyes without fear. "You never deserved my core." The Emperor's expression darkened. "And you never deserved my trust." Something inside me moved. A faint warmth I thought had vanished forever. Mo Yuan's dragon power surged violently in response. Lightning crashed across the sky again. The Emperor finally noticed it. "What?" Before he could react, the dragon struck. Mo Yuan's massive claws slammed into the Emperor's golden barrier, shattering it instantly. The impact sent the ruler of heaven crashing through the courtyard walls. The fox core flew from his hand. Time seemed to slow. The glowing orb drifted through the air. Then Mo Yuan caught it. The dragon shrank rapidly as he landed beside me, returning to his human form. His breathing was heavy now. The battle had drained him, but his golden eyes were focused only on me. "I'm returning what belongs to you," he said quietly. My chest tightened. "You shouldn't." "Why?" "You might die." He gave a faint smile. "I already chose you." Then he pressed the glowing core gently against my chest. Warmth exploded through my body. The moment the core returned, spiritual energy surged violently through my veins. The empty space inside me filled again, healing the damage the Emperor had caused. Golden light burst outward, shattering the chains around my body. My 9 tails appeared behind me again, stronger than before. I collapsed forward instinctively. Mo Yuan caught me. His arms wrapped around me firmly. For a moment neither of us moved. Then I felt something warm against my shoulder. His forehead. "Bai Lian," he whispered. My fingers tightened in his robes. "You idiot dragon." "Yes." "You fought heaven for me." "Yes." I lifted my head slowly. Our eyes met. This time the warmth in his gaze was impossible to miss. My chest fluttered strangely. "You still can't catch fish," I murmured. Mo Yuan actually laughed. The sound was soft but real. Outside the ruined palace, the storm clouds began to clear. The Emperor had been defeated. Heaven itself had been forced to acknowledge the truth. But none of that mattered in that moment. Because for the first time since my 10,000 years of cultivation began, I wasn't alone anymore. The morning sun spilled softly across the pavilion, painting everything gold. Warmth filled the air, not the cold, artificial light of the heavenly realm, but the gentle sunlight that made even my 9 tails twitch with delight. I sat quietly, cradling a small bundle in my arms. Tiny hands curled against my chest, delicate as flower petals. I could barely believe it. After everything, the betrayals, the battles, the endless years of uncertainty, this was real. Mo Yuan knelt beside me, his golden eyes soft, almost afraid to breathe too loudly. He reached forward, and I shifted slightly to let him touch the baby's cheek. "Bai Lian," he murmured. His voice was low, reverent, almost like he was speaking to a treasure. "He's perfect." I laughed softly, a sound full of relief I didn't know I had been holding back. Yes, perfect. The little one stirred, letting out a tiny, high-pitched wail. My heart clenched, and I held him closer, brushing a strand of hair from his tiny forehead. I felt every fragile heartbeat as though it were mine. The warmth radiated through me, through my very core. The same core the Emperor had stolen, the same power Mo Yuan had returned, now multiplied by life itself. Mo Yuan leaned closer, wrapping an arm gently around my shoulders while keeping one hand near the baby. We did it, he said quietly, almost to himself. We survived everything, and now we have him. I nodded, eyes glistening. We have a family. The baby yawned, stretching his tiny arms, and I caught a glimpse of Mo Yuan's smile. It was rare to see him so unguarded. Usually, even in private, there was tension in his golden eyes, a weight of responsibility that never left him. But now that weight was softened. I could see it melt, if only for this moment. For the first time in 10,000 years, I felt whole, not just powerful, not just safe, but complete. The bond between us, between me and Mo Yuan, and this small life, was something I had only glimpsed in dreams long ago. Now it was real. I whispered the child's name softly, letting it roll off my tongue. Dario, welcome to the world, little one. Mo Yuan caught my gaze. Dario, he repeated, nodding. Strong, clever, and stubborn, just like his father. I laughed softly, leaning against his chest. Only a little stubborn. The rest is all you. He pressed a gentle kiss to the top of my head, just behind my ears where my tails twitched. No, he said softly, he's both of us. And he will grow up knowing love, not fear. Fear. I remembered it. The Emperor's deception, the stolen core, the constant chase through heaven and mortal realms. Those memories now felt like distant shadows behind the warmth that filled this small pavilion. The battles had ended. The pain had ended. Even my fox form, once so fragile and unstable without my core, now felt steady and strong, every tail flicking with life and energy. I looked down at Dario again, brushing a strand of hair from his small face. He opened his tiny eyes briefly, blinking up at me as if he recognized me. My heart ached. A surge of protective love, stronger than anything I had cultivated, wrapped around me. I whispered softly, I will always protect you. I promise. Mo Yuan leaned close, resting his forehead against mine. And I will too, he said quietly, his hand covering mine over the baby. Always. The sunlight shifted across the pavilion, and for the first time, heaven didn't feel like a cage. It was ours, not the Emperor's palace, not a battlefield, not a prison of power, but a home. Safe. Warm. Full of life. I felt my tails wrap tighter around me, around Dario, around Mo Yuan. For the first time in my long life, every part of me was at peace. The fox, the human, the child, all of us together. And in that golden morning, I realized something I had never known in 10,000 years of cultivation. Love was not a game of power. It was not a trap or a theft. It was this quiet warmth, this fragile, terrifying, beautiful thing that made every hardship worth surviving. I pressed a gentle kiss to Dario's forehead and whispered, We're together now. Forever. Mo Yuan's hand rested on my shoulder, his presence steady and unwavering. Forever, he echoed. The wind moved softly through the pavilion, carrying the scent of spring flowers and sunlight. The 9 tails of my fox form twitched happily, coiling protectively around both of them. For the first time, I could feel the future waiting for us, not as a series of dangers or betrayals, but as a promise. We were a family, and finally I was home.